Welcome everyone to Singapore Grand Prix. Grand Prix started in 1940s. RSL actually started in 1928. It's even older than the Grand Prix itself. Every single year the cars changes. What you didn't know is the shuttlecock actually changed many times throughout the years. Let me show you what they are. Right, so let me show you one of the older shuttlecock. It's 1840s, so let me be very careful here. Take a look. This is our current size shuttlecock. There's a huge difference. And the cork base is not white. It's actually made of a leather-bound material, and it's got a wrap around it to hold the wrap in place. Much, much bigger. And if you notice, there's no strings. I can see that they actually have punched or cut the feather into shape. Now, let me show you the 1860s. As you can see, much smaller now. But if you compare them to our current shuttlecock, it's still very much bigger in terms of the feather and also in the cork base. And if you look at inside, the circumference is much bigger, made in 1890. As you can see, much smaller, but it's closer to our current shape now. And they're still using a leather bound. It's with this fabric material to keep the leather in place. Length of the feather is closer to what we have now, and the circumference is similar to what we have now. If you can see, it's much thinner, so I wouldn't imagine our shuttlecocks would be much more durable. Right, so welcome to the 1900s. Now, the 1900s, the biggest difference is the string, introduction of string. And they use glue as well. I can feel this glue. And the feather thickness on the bone here is actually much more uniform. I can see it's more punched. So the punching technology has been introduced. So this is the 1910. It's actually one of the exhibition tags from in the past. So I bet you've never seen one of these shuttlecock before. I think it's made up of straw. I'm not quite sure, but as you can see, it's actually twisted into this shape. And then it's glued. I can feel there's glue on the shaft here. So there is a string there, and then there's glue as well. Actually, the cork base is the same material. It feels the same material as that. Shape-wise, it's actually smaller. I don't know why they made this instead of using feather. Maybe because the feather, like now, the feathers are so expensive. So they're trying to find an alternative. So let me show you a very different shuttlecock. Well, in the 1920s, and the biggest difference is the cork base is starting to use a natural cork. But the feather is very different. It's much bigger, it's much thicker. You look at the bones. And the shape is much bigger. And the color is very colorful. Not sure if we can use this in our current shuttlecocks. What do you think? Used four at the same time. It's between 1915 and 1940s. The biggest difference is the feather shape. This one is round, and the 1940s ones are starting to have the more pointy feather shape, like as we have today. So from the 1940s onwards, it's starting to look like our current shuttlecock. So let me show you. The biggest similarity is the two strings. So here, they've started to use two strings for their shuttlecocks. The cork base, they started to use real cork, and the leather bound is actually very well made. And this is actually an RSL shuttlecock.